on? What's going on with Kevin Hart and
Okay, I'll give you like a little backstory. So,
I do wait. I will say this. The only thing I remember now, I'm thinking about it, is at one point Katt Williams is basically like they wanted me to like hang like they he was saying they wanted to compromise him in order to let him rise to the top, and he didn't do it and Kevin Hart did. Is that like part of this story?
right. So that's one of like that's part of the beef. Um, but I think essentially, I mean, Cat Williams probably always felt this way, but the beef sort of started like publicly when Kevin Hart defended Tiffany Haddish against Cat Williams because Cat Williams went on a radio station in an interview and said Tiffany Haddish is not funny. She blew some white guy to get, whatever opportunities she has. Like she's never written like, a full hour special. No one thinks she's really funny. So blah blah blah. So he said that, and then Kevin Hart went on an interview and defended her and said that, oh, Cat Williams is just like bitter because he chose the drugs over opportunities, and Hollywood now thinks of Cat Williams as a risk. That's why they won't hire him, and he's just bitter basically. And this sort of like really sparked that feud. And after that, of course, like as we saw on Club Shay Shay, Cat Williams went on and said more things about Kevin Hart, including what you just said. And now Kevin Hart was just interviewed by Charlamagne the God the other day, and he was asked about Katt Williams, and it wasn't really an apology. It was more like Kevin Hart saying that I shouldn't have defended Tiffany Haddish. I shouldn't have gone into that whole thing because I don't really have an issue with Katt Williams, and that sort of like fueled whatever like transpired after that. So let's take a look at the clip real quick, and then I want to hear your thoughts on like, did you think that sounded like an apology, or was he just like kind of like backing down because he got a lot of backlash because well, obviously Katt Williams is very popular right now.
If you have real problems with people and your problems are like serious, it's not hard to ever get to a person and really like address the problem correctly. The problems that people have with me, they aren't my problems. So the idea of being petty or going back and forth, it's so beneath me because I don't have the problem. And I feel like if I engage, it makes it look like I got a problem. And I don't.
Things get taken out of context too, though, because even when you think about Katt Williams on Club Shay Shay, a lot of people thought you threw shots at him first, and he was replying back.
I think there's probably one moment where I've actually talked about Katt publicly, and this was when
I think it was on Breakfast Club.
My frustration with Katt Williams comes from you keep pointing at Hollywood. Hollywood, this, the white man, this, and this. When do you take responsibility for your action? You had the shot.
Katt was in that position at one point.
You were the guy. Yeah. You were set up to be the star. You didn't show up to work. You fucked off promo shoots. You fucked off your promo fucking trips that they had set up for you. You became a risk to the studios, which is why the studios stopped fucking with you.
Why was he a risk?
He chose drugs.
Oh.
We were promoting Night School, and Tiffany was affected by some of the things he said. And it was more of a like support for her in that moment, and like some shots at him.
Do you regret that?
Yeah, I shouldn't even talk. I should never address him like, at all. I don't have to. But like, why? What will it do for me? What will I gain? There is no gain. So I look at everything from a.
That's not an apology.
Yeah. So as you heard, pretty self-explanatory. But I do want to say that I don't know. I feel bad for Tiffany Haddish because I almost feel like he threw her under the bus in order to kind of like save face and like maybe like restore his relationship with Katt Williams. Because it's almost saying like, hey, I stood up for my friend who's being, I guess he felt like she was being attacked. He stood up for her, and now he's kind of like backing down and saying like, I shouldn't have like butted in, which in a way that could be growth because people maybe he believes that people should fight their own battles. But at the same time, I just saw like a friend standing up for his friend But I do think it's very inflammatory to say that someone is on drugs unless you have actual proof. So I don't know. What do you think, Eric?
What I think is, I think Kevin Hart is, if there are like plants in Hollywood, if this is really a thing where people get groomed and chosen, and I believe this, and I have stories from a friend of mine who's a very wealthy man. I got to be careful not to talk about his family too much. But back 100 years ago, people were dubbed captains of industry. Like William Randolph Hearst was not all that. They were like, okay, we need you to do this with your newspapers. It's a thing. When I saw that Tom Brady roast and Kevin Hart hosted it, I was like, these aren't even people anymore. These look like cyborgs. The lights, Katt Williams is not dangerous to the studios because he's on drugs. Katt Williams is incapable of lying about what's going on. And Kevin Hart right there wasn't apologizing. He was basically saying, arguing with Katt Williams is beneath me. Listen, I'm a huge Katt Williams fan. I think he's funny I just love the guy. And I think Kevin Hart is like a cookie cutter version of what people now are telling us is funny. And I think he's funny, but it doesn't seem organic anymore. It doesn't seem homegrown. It seems like shtick. It seems canned. Like, hey, we're going to do this, and you're going to say this, and Tom Brady's going to look like this, and and everybody's going to laugh, and you're going to be the biggest comedian in the world. And that's what's going on. And he even said, you were set up to be that guy. What do you mean set up? If you're funny and people come to you, that's comedy. If you're set up and they're like, hey, we're going to put you here so everybody sees you and you have a chance to go, yeah, it's almost like they want him to be like, ugh. Katt Williams is the real deal. Kevin Hart is some kind of weird cyborg at this point. I'm sorry.
I think they're both funny, to be honest.
He's funny. He's funny.
But I am a little disappointed in both of their most recent specials. I don't really remember when Kevin Hart came out with something on Netflix maybe a few years ago. I think this was during COVID. Maybe he's done something after that, but I do remember he did something during COVID. I didn't really think it was funny, but I do find his earlier specials really funny. I think he was really funny in the beginning. He still has funny moments. I think he was funny during the Tom Brady roast, because for me, Kevin Hart is not just like a tell joke comedian. He's like a feel good comedian. You can tell that he makes people feel good. People that are around him, they feel good. You know what I mean? And
look, the guy's talented.
Yeah, so I appreciate him for that also. Katt Williams to me is just funny in a different way, but Katt Williams is like mean funny. You know what I mean?
He's definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're both hilarious, and Katt Williams is also obviously super hilarious. Like the Pimp Chronicles and everything. Some of my favorite specials come from Katt Williams. I didn't like his latest special. Maybe it's because I was expecting more out of him. And you did say the other day, you think maybe he's getting older and everything. I did expect a little bit more from him because of, the showdown on Club Shay Shay, which was hilarious. I probably watched it 10 times, from start to finish, the 3 hours, because I think he's just such a great storyteller. He's so funny. He's so spontaneous. I don't know. I love Kevin Hart, but we'll see. Maybe this is the olive branch coming from Kevin Hart, but I do feel bad for Tiffany Haddish because she's taken a lot of heat in the past few years, and I feel like Kevin Hart was sort of like her buddy, still. And I don't know. I hope that this isn't sort of I hope this isn't it for her, because I would like to see her redeem herself and get another chance. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't take it as he threw her under the bus. I think he was trying to say, you know what, it was dumb for me to get involved because now he was saying basically you bring yourself down to this level. Look, this is my thing, and people just don't want to admit this. We talk about white privilege, we talk about financial privilege. There is a thing called intellectual privilege. And I'm going to say, and I don't consider myself an intellectual, but because I read a lot of books and because I'm a thinker, I get invited a lot of places. Like Robert Plant and I, singer of Led Zeppelin, we really hit it off, not about music. We hit it off about history and this Welsh revolutionary named Owain Glyndŵr and all this crazy stuff. When you look at guys like Katt Williams, Dave Chappelle, all of the ball players, black or white, who are the best quarterbacks, the best pitchers, they're always effing smart. And Dave Chappelle and Katt Williams are valuable without punchlines because of their insight on how the world works. I don't
Agreed.
get that from Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart just seems like a nice, funny guy.
Yeah.
Katt Williams seems like an intellectual. Dave Chappelle is an intellectual. I mean, I think the guy has the most impressive mind. You know, and Eric, he says bad things about trans. None of that. And I don't even think that's true, but none of that. I can listen to Dave Chappelle speak without punchlines because I'm mesmerized by the way he thinks. Katt Williams has a version of that for me. Kevin Hart tells jokes and makes people feel good, like you said. Does that make sense? So there's a thing called...
Yeah, it does make sense. I agree. Like, I agree that as far as the comedy, but I do think though that Kevin Hart has a different type of intelligence, which is maybe like a more of an emotional intelligence that, you know, like it takes a lot of, I think, emotional intelligence to make people feel good. Like you leave a Dave Chappelle show, maybe like really thinking, feel like, wow, that really like, you know, you can go crazy, just think about what he said,
and
you know.
leave Kevin feeling good.
You just feel good. You're like, you know, it's wholesome and you feel good. But also, I mean, Kevin Hart is obviously super intellectual.
Oh yeah, of course he is. I mean, look.
I mean, he's probably going to be a billionaire any time now.
He's the highest paid comedian in the.
Yeah, and that takes a lot of restraint and intelligence in order to, you know, go to the places that he has gone to. So I see value in all of them, like you said, but in different ways. And I don't necessarily think that, you know, they're at odds, because I wouldn't want a world with only comedians like Katt Williams or Dave Chappelle. I want, you know, I mean, I don't have kids, but if I had a kid, I would like to take, like, you know, my kid to a Kevin Hart show or whatever. So I don't know. I think
I agree. There's
a place for everyone.
I want to make sure I'm clear about something. This isn't to hate on Kevin Hart, and it's not to say he's not smart. And the emotional intelligence thing, he has that gift where you're in a room with the guy, or so I'm told, because I know people. I mean, I was with people last night who are friends with him. Did I tell you I was with? Oh, I told you I was hanging out with Jim. I didn't hang out with Jim Norton, but I got to spend a few minutes with him. But no, there's an emotional intelligence, and there's a get along kind of thing that he has, like where he knows how to navigate emotionally. He's got a crew because everybody loves him, and he's funny and he's smart. I'm sitting here talking about him. He's not talking about me. So for me to like diss him as not smart, I'm just saying Dave Chappelle says some very unpopular things. He doesn't do political correctness. He doesn't do political correctness when he disagrees with the black community or the white community or the Jewish community. It's like all like real raw stuff. Katt Williams is kind of the same thing. And Kevin Hart is like, it's like he stays in a lane. He stays in the pop culture lane where everybody's like, yay, Kevin. And I guess for me, when we see drug dealers and doctors preying on celebrities and stuff, I want more Dave Chappelle's saying, hey, this shit's real. You know what I mean? Just because, like Kevin is to make you feel good. He's also to put you to sleep so you don't really think about what's going on behind the scenes. You know? Like, that's the appeal. And so I'm just saying, when he says Katt Williams was dangerous to the studios, I think he's dangerous to the studios because, hey, he may tell people what really goes on here.
Yeah, I agree. I don't agree with what he said. I don't think he should have said that. Whether he believes that or not, that's up to him. But I just don't think that making inflammatory statements like that about anyone is cool. That could really affect a person's reputation and livelihood. And I understand that Katt Williams would be, you know, pissed off about that, and maybe hold a resentment, because at the time when Kevin Hart did say that, he was huge, you know, and people would listen to him and maybe even believe that, oh, Katt Williams is, you know, I mean, now, you know, Katt Williams came back with, you know, huge, I mean, I guess you could call it some type of like redemption, in popular media, I guess. But maybe he was really affected by it.
By the way, you're the second person who said they didn't like his latest special. It wasn't as Katt Williams. It wasn't as bang on funny as some of his other stuff, But some of the social commentary I thought was amazing. Again, for me, when he said that thing, if the United States pays reparations, he goes, white people can run around saying the N-word. I just died laughing. I was like, what a concept for him to say that. And then the whole riverboat thing. Did you see the fight on the riverboat?
I don't really remember.
Oh my God. So there's this fight on a riverboat, I think in New Orleans. And some white dudes started a fight with some black dudes. And then these families are fighting. And a fucking black dude swims across the Mississippi to get into the fight. And Katt Williams in his special, he's like a black man swimming. I was just dying the way he set that up. So that moment in the special was gold. Like, it was worth the whole special to me. I loved it.
But I felt that way. It wasn't just this most recent one. The one before that, I think it's also on Netflix. I don't know. Maybe it's like unfair for me to compare, him to, his first few specials, which were, really like legendary, like outstanding. Like, they're going to go down in history as like some of the best specials. So maybe that's not fair. It's almost like saying like, why isn't, think of music artists. Like, why isn't this person's music exactly the way it used to be, 10 years ago? And it's like, people evolve and grow and they want to talk about different things. And maybe he chose this tone purposely, or maybe, it is that he's getting older and maybe doesn't have the same, I don't know, ideas or stamina. I don't know. But either way, I think, he's still funny, but I didn't laugh all throughout, whereas before in his earlier specials, I would literally laugh like, from the first second until the very end.
The thing about Kevin Hart, Katt Williams' material as he gets older. By the way, when he played the uncle in Atlanta, have you seen the series Atlanta, by the way?
No.
Oh my God.
I know of it, but I never tuned into it.
Amazing. Like one of the most brilliant things I've ever seen in my life. But so as an artist, as a writer, when I write with this kid, Danny Dunnery, and we're writing love songs through his perspective when he was going through breakups, I was able to get back into that energy. But for me to write a love song like, oh, my heart is broken, baby, if I were to go through a breakup right now, it'd be like, who's taking which apartment? Do we have the money to live separately? Like, as a 59-year-old guy, I can't sing about my broken heart wounds of childhood. Like, you just see the world differently.
It's not your experience anymore.
It's not my experience, right? And that's why I think bands like people like, oh, the Rolling Stones, they're amazing, they keep going. It's like, yeah, but they're singing about things from when they were 18. And it's like, man.
Yeah, it's kind of like, when rappers, when they first come out, they talk about, maybe, selling drugs or whatever, being on the streets, whatever.
Yeah.
And then, they come up on some money and they now live in a mansion, whatever. And then it's like they lose authenticity.
And they start talking about their bling, bling.
But doesn't take away who they are. I still identify with a lot of things that I've been through in the past, even though that's not where I am today. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. No, but it's just tough for me to like I have this guy who keeps saying, hey, let's do a reunion with our band, The Plums. For me to get on stage and like yearn for Michelle, who was my girlfriend when I was in the Plums, you know what I mean? And all the tragic things that were going on with us. It would just, I don't think I could sell it. For me to be like, I don't feel that way. So for me to do that would be acting versus emoting.
Hi, I'm Sarah. Please subscribe and help us grow this channel.